Hello, my name is Dr. Giuseppe Paladini. I'm the founder of Stepping Bricks, one of the leading companies in the UK in training about business, mindset and property. And today we're going to cover the 7 most common questions that I get asked by beginners in property investing in the UK. I know we're all busy and we don't have much time to watch every single video on YouTube, so I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm going to accept a challenge to answer each of these 7 questions in 1 minute each. Let's see how it goes. Question number 1, how much money do I need to invest in property to start with? Start the clock. It depends on your situation. So if you have a starting capital, obviously you can use a different property strategy. You can buy properties, you can flip properties, etc. So the more money you have to start with, the more cash flow you can generate. And of course, there are over 100 property strategies in the UK alone. Now, if you don't have a starting capital, and then you can do other property strategies like rent to rent, deal packaging, joint ventures, etc. So that means that you can cash flow even if you don't have a property, even if you don't have a starting capital, and you can then move to the next step. So to answer this question very briefly, you need 0 money to start in property, to start investing in property. However, if you have a starting capital, you can do even better, and I managed to do it in 49 seconds. Question number 2, what's the difference between a buy-to-let mortgage and a residential mortgage? Start the clock. Now the difference is the residential mortgage is for you to live in the property, so you have access to different lenders. Again, a mortgage broker can help you with this to choose the right product for you. So residential mortgage is to buy a house for you to live in. A buy-to-let mortgage, you need a higher deposit, while with residential mortgage you need 5 or 10% deposit. With buy-to-let you need 25% deposit, and you get access to different type of rates of interest rate from the lenders. So depends if you are a portfolio landlord, more than 4 properties, then obviously you have different rates again. But generally speaking, buy-to-let mortgage is with a higher deposit, 25%. The lender will give you 75% mortgage, and then depending on the rates, then you can choose the best rate for you and buy your first investment property. Oh, this question is challenging. Now this is question number 3, is how do I choose the best location to invest in property? So I'm going to try to squeeze it in 1 minute. Start the clock. Right, so the best area to choose when you invest in property is every area. So wherever there are houses, then there are 50% of the houses that are owned and 50% of the houses they are rented. If they are rented, it means there are landlords. If there are landlords, it means that the area is good for investing in property. So unless you live on top of the hill, then I would say each area is quite good for investing in property. Now, of course, you don't want to rent in the Bronx because that's very dangerous, but if you are between the very posh areas and the Bronx, in between those two, then those are perfect areas to invest in property. How can you know if the area is good? Well, drive around, go and see if there is any shooting in the street, or, just kidding obviously, but see how the street looks like. And from the pictures where you can go on Google Earth, or Google Maps, you can check around and you can see if there are any posh cars or rubbish around the street. I think I'm going over, but I don't care, this is quite important. But you can see from the Google Street, actually, if there is, let's say for example, you have a car with no wheels, no tires, that means that it's a rough area, so I wouldn't buy in that area. But that's how you choose the best area. Drive around and check. So question number 4, this is about what's the best strategy between buy, refurbish or refinance, so you then rent it, or flip the property, so you buy, refurbish and then sell. Okay, so that's the main difference between the two. So what's best, buy to let or flip? Start the clock. Right, so the 2 strategies are very good for cash flow. Actually no, the first one is very good for cash flow, the second one is very good for a lump sum cash. So the first one, buy, refurbish, refinance and rent, okay, they give you the opportunity to remodel the house, renovate the house, and then rent it out for a steady cash flow every single month. You also you won't be able to release all the cash at once because you have to remortgage, so you only get 75% of the total value, but the equity that you build in the property, the capital appreciation is great. For the flip, however, you need a big cash or money to invest in the flip, or you can use bridging finance. Okay, we can talk about bridging finance in another video. However, with flips, you buy, you renovate, and then you put it back on the market and you get 100% of the new value. And for flip, you spend a lot more money for higher specs. Stop the clock. Question number 5 is, how do I find good tenants and who should I use to manage my rental property? Start the clock. My advice to you is get a great letting agent. So you need to establish a good connection, a good relationship with your local letting agent, or even if it's not local, it's local to the property where you're renting. And don't self-manage, please. You don't want to create a second job for you. So the best way to find the tenants, if you're going through the letting agents, they will do all the pre-screening, they will do the work before the work, and you don't have to deal with all the headache of choosing the right tenants, because they will do the vetting, they will do the screening, they will do the referencing checks, the viewings, and all the work for you. You only need to worry about giving the right bank details for receiving the rent, and that's it. So my advice to you is, do not self-manage. Even if you are at the first property, if you really want to try it, but then give it to somebody else and enjoy life and find the next investment property. Question number 6. Now we are in, what type of risks should I consider when I invest in property? Basically, this question is kind of, is it risky to invest in property right now? So I'm going to flip this question in this way, okay? Start the clock. Right, so the best risk, well, the worst risk you can take right now is by not doing anything. If you stay exactly as you are right now and you're complaining about the way you are right now, then by not taking any risk, you're taking the bigger risk. So I would say, please do something, whether it's investing in property or finding something else that can give you an extra stream of income. And I'm serious about this. Beside the challenge, I'm serious about this. If you decide to invest in property, then the risks of investing in property are very much reduced, because property is a physical asset. It's not like cryptocurrency or stocks and shares. They are volatile. Property you can actually touch, is bricks and mortar, and over time they always go up in value, always. Guess what? If you are investing in property, the rental will always go up too, with time, with inflation, etc. So the best risk you can take is by investing in property, and there's no more. Okay, so 7 questions. Last question is about, are there any government schemes that can help me to start in the property ladder? So I guess this question is more related to people that want to buy their own property, so the first property, and not an investment. So I will try to cover this one mostly for first-time buyers. Start the clock. Right, so if you are a first-time buyer, yes, there are government schemes for you to buy a property, and especially you can buy a property for a minimum of 5% deposit, which is very, very little. So for example, if you are targeting a property of £100,000, just to keep it simple, then you only need £5,000 deposit, and the government and the rest, the lender, will give you 95%. Obviously, the more deposit you put, the less you are leveraging, which means you pay less interest on your mortgage. However, if you don't have a big starting capital, then I would say use the government scheme, so that you can then use the money for something completely different than putting it into deposit for your first property. So yes, there are helps out there, and I would say get your property. Even if you're renting, start to think about getting to the property ladder, because once you buy the property, this property will grow in value. You get equity that is going to build up in your house, and then once the equity is big enough, then you can release this equity tax-free, and then you can start investing in property. And that's how we did it. I'm sorry I went too far with the timer, but this was important too. I hope you enjoyed these 7 tips or 7 most common questions that beginners in property investing generally ask me. I managed to compile this list for you. I have a lot more questions that I'm going to cover in the next video. This is Stepping Bricks YouTube channel. You have a lot of videos, a lot of hours of training for free for you to explore and to learn about properties. So don't miss this opportunity to subscribe, like the channel, share it with whoever you think it might be relevant, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.